Konnichiwa! Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Nihongo Master podcast. I'm your host Azra, bringing you Japanese cultural and language content every week. Season 5 looks at life in Japan, the fun, the boring, and everything in between. With the episodes we have released so far, it's safe to say that coming to Japan for a holiday and to live are two very different experiences. With my few years of experience living here, I've noticed a thing or two, and I'd like to share my secrets with you. But I thought it'd be better if I had company. And she's our special guest for today. Coming to you from Tokyo, Japan, I'm excited to introduce to you Cyber Bunny. Welcome to the show. For those of you who don't know yet, who are you? And tell us a bit about yourself and your background.
Well, my name is Cyber Bunny. Hajimemashite, minasama. But my real name is Michelle. I'm born and raised in Honolulu, Hawaii, but I currently live in Tokyo. I'm an English teacher for Japanese salarymen. So I teach business English. I used to teach little kids, but then I changed jobs. So.
Yeah, we've all been there. Like I used to teach as well. How about your relationship with Japan?
So my mother is Japanese, and she moved from Tokyo to Hawaii, and that's why I'm born and raised there. And then every summer she would take me to visit my grandmother who lives in Tokyo. And then she put me through school like for the summer. And then that's how I picked up Japanese.
How about you tell us a bit more about Cyber Bunny?
Okay, well, I was playing around maybe 2016. In 2016, I was really into fashion. I was studying fashion and graphic design in college. And then I kind of played around with some material like plastic, and I made this outfit. It's on my Instagram if you want to check it out. You have to scroll all the way down. And I was wearing a white wig and then the bunny ears, just like you see right now. And then this was Halloween. And so I wanted to be like a cyber character. That was my inspiration. And it was modeled after my muse, Bianco. She's white and has blue eyes, and she's a dwarf bunny, and she's so sassy. So I'm kind of like the human version of Bianco.
Nice.
And so I wanted to give value to the character, not just like an e-girl, you know. So that's why I added in the Japanese learning. Yeah, I wanna share the world how I learned Japanese, and what better way to learn through music and entertainment and anime.
So how about the challenges you faced? Are there any challenges that you want to share with us?
So I moved to Tokyo maybe 2 years ago, way before, maybe 6 months before Corona happened. And then just adjusting to Japanese culture and its system, since it is quite different from America.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I feel like everything's so opposite.
Well, the cars, for one.
Yeah.
Like this side of the road, yeah.
Yeah, standing on the right of way, or standing on the left side for Japan. Medical, societal behaviors, customs, everything is really opposite from East and West.
So you said you've visited a couple of times, right? How was that different from like travel here during the summer versus living here?
Travel and living is so different. Traveling, you just see the good parts of that place, and you're just in a fantasy world. But when you're actually living, you see the both pros and cons of that place. You begin to see the honmae of things when you're living, not just the tatemae. And that is another topic we can talk about.
Oh god, I can talk about that all day. So before we go very deep into the living bit, first of all, who's your main audience and what kind of content do you create?
My viewers are mainly those that love anime, Japanese culture, and learning Japanese. I think learning Japanese is top priority. My viewers, they hope that one day they can live, they can work, or visit Japan someday. So I create content so they are prepared to expect these things and why it is the way it is.
So I see your videos, you incorporate anime into your content. So how does anime help with Japanese?
Anime wasn't really that cool. When I was a high school student, I wasn't too into anime back then, but like just recently, maybe within the past, I don't know, 5, 10 years, it has begun to be more like accepted to love anime.
Mm,
And especially with Demon Slayer and Attack on Titans,
mm.
it began to be like almost slang. And then so I wanted to incorporate what's trending right now and just explain like certain words and how you can why the grammar it is that way.
Mm-mm. So you are living in Japan. Why did you decide to move here?
My main why is to be closer with family in Japan. I miss my grandma and she's reaching I think
Oh,
100 years
wow.
old.
Mad.
Yeah. And I used to visit her every 3 weeks at the care home.
Mhm.
But ever since Corona happened, I haven't seen her for over a year.
Oh, no.
When she was healthy, she would always come to Hawaii and visit us and stay for the summer. So now I want to go to her, but yeah, maybe when this is all over, I can see her again.
Do you have a lot of family in Japan?
My entire mom's side of the family is within close reach, but my father's side, they're all over California and Hawaii.
So do you like living here? Do you like living in Japan or in Hawaii? Which one?
I feel that Tokyo life suits me better. I love the fast-paced city
Mm-hmm.
life, and the funny thing is that Hawaii actually gives me anxiety.
Oh, really?
It's too relaxing, and I feel like I'm wasting time, and I feel like I should be doing something. But I would go back to Hawaii just to feel relaxed and go on a vacation. But as a young person to be making a living, then I'd rather be in Tokyo.
Right. That's the opposite for me. I feel like because I grew up in Singapore and it's like a fast-paced
Hmm.
city. Well, more or less city, yeah. So when I came to Japan, Tokyo, first it was overwhelming because it was even more than Singapore. And then I moved further out to like Kanagawa where it's more like suburban and I was like, okay, this is a bit chill. And a couple months ago I lived in Okinawa for a couple of months and I was like, oh, this is nice. It's just chill, just with a beach every other day.
Wow. Okay, I've never been to Okinawa, but it sounds like a lot like Hawaii. That's what my friends told me.
Yeah. Yeah. I've never been to Hawaii, so I can't do the comparison.
I've been to Singapore
But
once and it
yeah.
was really hot, but it's so international.
It's nice to live, but everyone says it's expensive. Kind of like Tokyo.
You think Tokyo is expensive
Well,
compared to Singapore?
compared to Singapore, like I could go a day in Singapore with just $3 or $5, and I could do all my like meals and stuff. Whereas here, one meal is like 1,000 yen, and you're like, whoa, that's a lot.
Oh my gosh. I guess because you are working and living in Singapore as a local.
Mm-hmm.
But as a tourist, I thought Singapore was so expensive.
Really? Like,
I barely ate anything.
no way, no way. Like, you could get a meal for like pennies. I'd say I would spend $2-3 on a meal every single day.
Oh my goodness.
How about in like Hawaii? Do you have is the standard of living there better?
Oh my God. I think everyone in Hawaii can agree with me on this, but most people have 2 or 3 jobs just to make a very, very comfortable living.
Oh no.
Houses, like a normal one-story house, can go up to 1 million. Lunch is like $12,
Mm.
and then you have to pay 15% tip for lunch, 20% for dinner, and we don't have tipping in Japan.
Yeah. For you, Japan is cheaper.
I think Japan is so cheap, so I don't have a problem paying for things. Sometimes I pay for my friends' dinners
Really?
because it's so cheap.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm nice.
Everyone be friends with Cyber Bunny. She'll pay for your lunch.
Shots on me. It's on me.
What were your first impressions or any memories you can recall when you first moved here?
Pre-COVID memories were nice.
Yeah, those were the days.
I was able to spend 7 months of just a regular lifestyle in Tokyo, and I was able to visit many places in town and out of town. Like, my favorite memory was Kawaguchiko, which is near Fujisan. And I went during the fall, and it's when the leaves change, and it's so beautiful. And you get your own private onsen, and I did all the ryokan things. Of course, the nightlife pre-COVID was nice. It was fun. Very, very different from Hawaii nightlife.
How was it different?
Hawaii is very small, so you know everybody. So when you go to a club, you just see all your high school friends.
That must be hard to kind of escape them. You're like, oh, you again.
And in Tokyo, you can kind of be anyone and everyone. It was more. I feel it's more exciting. I think everyone can agree with me on this.
How's Tokyo though? I haven't been there. I haven't been back in like so long. I feel like it's so different from.
Yeah, we're on
Tokyo.
our third state of emergency right now, and it doesn't feel any different than a couple weeks earlier when they announced it. I think the only thing that's different is the ban on alcohol in all restaurants. But you still gotta leave the restaurant at 8, and even shopping malls.
Yeah, added that one as well.
Yeah, I was in the middle of shopping, and then they said I had to leave.
This is just yesterday, right? It was like 7:30, so I was like, okay, I have half an hour before H&M closes. And then at 7:30, I walked into the fitting room, and he was like, "Oh, you can't try on your clothes." And I was like, "Why?" He's like, "Oh, we're closing at 8." This is not a restaurant.
That is weird.
Man.
That is weird. At least like 10 minutes before 8, you know?
Exactly. It's like I'm not gonna try the whole bloody store. I'm just gonna try one piece.
Yeah, businesses are it's killing them.
So in our season 5 episode 3, I mentioned a few things about culture shock in Japan. Did you experience any of that?
Totally. Even as a Japanese American who was accustomed to Japanese culture from an early age, I still get culture shocks. Maybe every other week.
I feel you, yeah.
It's something that will never go away. But just to name a couple, well, let's do the positives. I think universal healthcare is great in Japan. I'm used to private healthcare in America, and so you would pay, like a couple $100 a month, even if you don't use the medical care, you still have to pay. But in Japan, it's kind of like pay as you go, which I like. And the second point is, this is more on the negative side, but ladies first does not exist in Japan, and more like ladies serve.
Preach. Yeah.
And it's still this way, even from the bubble age, where economy was booming in Japan.
Anyway, speaking of culture shock, I know one thing that was shocking for a lot of people, and that's like space. Like the size, and especially like a living accommodation.
Yes, my friends and I talk about this all the time. For some reason, they're always moving. Every single international friend.
Yeah.
I ask them like how their life is, and they say they're always moving to another spot. And living in Tokyo is quite difficult.
Yeah.
Because you're basically living in a shoebox in exchange for being closer to the city. And the farther you're away from the city center, the cheaper your rent will be and the bigger the space. So you're paying for convenience. And if you're an American that likes your space and you're used to living in a huge house with many rooms and bathrooms and with a kitchen, this will come as a culture shock.
I can imagine, yeah.
And yeah, the walls are so thin. Have you seen those cones where you like practice your screaming?
I've never tried that, no. I just saw pictures of it.
Yeah, me too. I'm considering buying one. Like at Loft or Don Quixote or something, there's like a cone. You just scream.
When I was back in Tokyo, I was only staying in share houses because it's so expensive to get your own apartment. You have the upfront costs, all your
Oh,
deposit, your key money, and all that. And we're like, oh, is that worth it? Nah, we just stay in share houses and just jump from one house to the other.
do you feel like it's a lot cheaper in a share house?
Initially, I stayed like in Yoyogi Uehara, so that's like city center.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it was nice, but the house was like old and
Oh,
yeah, the room was small. So then I moved a bit further out to Gotokuji. Still nice, but still small. Then I moved even further out to Kawasaki, so like Yokohama area. And that was when I stayed for like a year. And it was nice and big and the house was fresh, newly renovated, cheaper than what I was paying in Tokyo. So yeah, you sacrifice the distance, but you get all this space and facilities. So my last share house had a gym, had a theater room,
that's nice.
had all that kind of stuff.
Wow.
So I was like, yeah, I'd stay here. And it was during COVID, so no one's going out anyway. So yeah, I would like to have my own space, but in Japan, it's a bit too expensive, I feel like. Mm. Right, so what do you think are the pros and cons about living in Japan? Like in our first episode of this season, I mentioned a couple of them.
Okay, let's start with the pros of living in Japan.
Yeah, always.
So a lot of people have said that they lost weight,
Oh, what?
and it might be due to the active lifestyle. You just walk everywhere because there's no car life unless you're living in the country. But you bike everywhere. You take the train. At the train station, there are steps. You stand on the train. You stand in the train.
On the
You stand
train,
in the train. When it's really busy, those rush hours, and yeah, that's train life. Another pro is that the diet, the Japanese diet, and what they eat is really healthy. And I think the biggest thing is their portion size.
So, like compared to Hawaii and stuff, the portions here are smaller, even like fast food.
Oh, yes. American size is really big compared to Japanese size.
Really?
Yeah. I think I lost 5 kilograms.
Oh, no way. That's good, right?
Yeah. I'm quite happy.
I have a small appetite, so even Japanese portions can sometimes be a bit too big for me.
I envy you.
So if I go to the US, I'm like done for. Like I'll eat a quarter of the portion.
Yes. You might have to share your meals with someone.
I'm already sharing my meal. So what about the cons?
If you're visiting Japan and you don't speak Japanese or understand any Japanese at all, you might be a little bit lost because Japan is not English friendly. I mean, there are signs where you can kind of make out where things are, but the people don't speak English.
Yeah. And if you want to like go to the post office or the ward office, it is tough if you don't know a bit of Japanese.
Another one is like there's a thing in culture, there's like status and hierarchy based on age, your background, your experience. It might be a little bit unfair, but like from a Japanese point, I also understand why it is the way it is.
Why do you think so?
I think it's kind of like the senpai kohai relationship. So if you're younger, you're automatically like you don't know any better, so let senpai or let brother or sister take care of you kind of mentality.
Yeah.
So yeah, mentor mentality. Like if you come from a rich family, you're automatically better because you have all of these resources available to you. So I'm better than you. Bow down to me.
Wow.
That's kind of the feeling that I'm getting.
Right.
When you're working in a traditional company, someone that came after you is automatically your senpai. They have more experience, but they may not necessarily have the skills that you have. Maybe a younger person has like, they know everything from Photoshop to video editing to social media marketing, but they've only lived like 22 years of their life.
Mm.
Older does not mean better, and you can't also teach an old dog new tricks.
That's true.
I like Japan to be a little bit more loose on that. But what do I know? Japan summers are horrible.
Yeah. 100%. Can't argue with that.
But I think Singapore's worse.
Oh, that's the thing. I think
it's all year long.
it's all year long, but it's not as humid, in my opinion, I feel like. Because the first time I came here in summer, I got heat stroke.
Really?
Singaporean getting heat stroke is pretty funny. But I didn't even know that was heat stroke. I was just kind of like drained and I was just almost passing out. I was just telling my friend I needed rest, and I remembered sleeping at Shibuya's what is it, Tokyo Plaza's building, Starbucks. And I was just sleeping there, and I woke up and he's like, "Have you recovered from your heat stroke?" And I was like, "No, I'm Singaporean. There's no way I get heat stroke." But apparently I did.
That's scary. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I could have got to the hospital.
But it is hotter. Nothing's worse than Japan summer.
Hydrate, my friend.
Okay. So you're an important ambassador for Nihongo Master. How do you think our online learning system is different from others?
You know, I've checked out a bunch of like online tools, apps, and what I really appreciate about Nihongo Master is the manga style lessons, and the fact that it's friendly for all levels, beginner, intermediate, and advanced. And I also like that it is interactive. So the quizzes, if you're a person like me that has short attention span, you kind of need that repetition over and over again. Yeah, I think it's a wonderful program.
Thank you. Okay, so let's change things up a bit. Let's think of 3 scenarios we encounter day to day that we have to use Japanese for, even just a bit of Japanese, and talk about the essential language keywords. What do you think?
Okay, sounds good. Let's do it.
So I think the first one is the konbini. Like, I think we go to the konbinis like every day. I think I spent the most time in convenience stores. So everything from kaimono or shopping to sending and collecting mail. I don't think I spend a day without going to the konbini. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. Konbini saves lives. It's really convenient. You can pay your utility bills. You can buy concert tickets or Disneyland tickets. There's a copy fax print machine. You can send or pick up packages like Merikari. You can buy underwear or house goods, just in case for emergencies. It's 24/7. So konbini saves lives. Shinzo sasageo.
That's like a standard routine of lines they'd say, like when you go to the counter. The first thing nowadays, they would go, "Reji bukuro go ryo desu ka?" Every time. Do you need a bag?
Yes. I love it when they say that. Like sometimes I say it with them in my head.
Really? I was like, how many seconds before you cut one? Okay.
Yeah. Or they would ask like, "Pointo card wa omochi desu ka?" My answer is always no. I don't use point cards.
And then if you order your food, they will go, "Oh, ataramasu ka?"
Yeah, their microwaves are top of the line. Did you know that it only takes 20 seconds to heat things up? So so it's just etiquette. But while they're heating your food up, they will politely ask you to step aside so they can help the next person. And it's so thoughtful. Like they just want to be efficient and help everybody. And I love konbini.
I can see in your eyes how much you love it.
Do you have a favorite konbini store?
I think
out of all the brands,
Family Mart would be my favorite. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And then
Why so?
I don't know. It's just decent quality for everything. You won't get something and go, that tastes funny. You know? With Lawson, sometimes the coffee. I go, really?
Oh, I understand the Lawson
Yeah.
coffee.
Yeah.
It's a no for me.
Yeah, me too.
I'm sorry. Have you tried the mega cups?
From Lawson? No.
The mega cafe lattes. They're just, it's just too much of something.
Really?
And it just ruins it.
I've seen the cup. I've never bought it. I don't like Lawson coffee as much as Family Mart or 7-Eleven.
Yeah. I really like Family Mart 7-Eleven.
7-Eleven's a bit more expensive compared to Family Mart.
Oh, you think so?
The coffee.
Oh, the coffee. Okay.
I judge everything based on coffee.
That's fair. I think my favorite is 袋にお分けしますか? Would you like the items bagged separately? So in the beginning, coming from America, I thought this was weird because I'm a simple girl. I'm just fine with one bag. I learned that they do this so the condensation from the hot and cold foods don't ruin the rest of your purchases. And some people in Japan don't feel comfortable with chemicals and edibles are in the same bag. I thought this was really thoughtful. So, yeah, something to think about. Konbini saves lives. I think another day-to-day situation is when we're eating out, like at a restaurant or cafe. And they'll start off, as you enter, they'll say, 何名様ですか?
You might even get the option of seating like 中の席とテラス席どちらにしますか? Do you want to sit inside or on the terrace?
Or smoking area or non-smoking area.
In some places, after seating you, they go on to explain everything on the menu, like super fast in Japanese. And I just go like, yeah, hi. And like my brain is not configured to Japanese yet, so like slow down, please.
Right. Some restaurants have these button calls. You can call the waiter. So, like in Japan, you kind of have to yell across the room if you want to summon the waiter, or else they'll never come. They might check in maybe half an hour to see if you're okay or alive. But, yeah, ご注文はお決まりしたらボタンを押してください. That's what they'll say. So that's when you call and press the button.
So like if you don't know, if you haven't heard that line so many times, you wouldn't know what they're talking about. But that's like, once you hear it like at least 10 times, like that's easy to remember.
Yeah.
Have you ever gotten asked if you wanted your drink before or after the meal?
All the time. If you don't order the drink bar, family restaurant, they'll ask beginning or end. I usually take my coffee or tea at the end of the meal. Do you take your coffee or tea at the end, or do you have it during your meal?
I like to have it at the end, but sometimes they don't ask and they just serve it at the same time. And that's when I go, well, you could have asked, but that's because if I'm out with like my other foreigner friends, they would assume that we can't understand. Then they would just they would skip that whole question altogether. So nowadays I would just beat them to it and be like, I want it after. And they go, okay.
Oh. Save the awkwardness. Beat them to it.
Let's see. Well, the third situation that we go daily, maybe public transport. There's not much interactions there, I think, right?
Not with other passengers. Nope.
That'd be awkward.
Yeah, I take the train to work, and most people spend about an hour 15. That's considered normal. If you're living in the city, that means you're lucky and you only spend about 20 minutes commute. What I really like or look forward to is listening to the different train melodies when I take public transportation. I did an Instagram story and the question was, what is your favorite train line melody? And the best answer was Komagome on the Yamanote line. To me, it's like the most traditional Oriental sounding, so be sure to check it out. Another one was Takada no Baba.
Mm-hmm.
It's a theme song from Astro Boy from the 60s. And I just love that there are hidden histories in everyday life in Japan.
Mm. When it comes to the train lines, I do memorize like my Migi and Hidari, like right and left from the announcements. I think that's how it's like stuck in my brain. I also have the word chikatetsu, subway, pretty much imprinted in my brain as well. Like especially when you go to like Shibuya, they like say all like the train lines, the subway lines. So you go blah 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 chikatetsu, blah 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 chikatetsu, and you're like subway, okay. So thank you so much for your time, Sababani. It was so much fun to chat with you.
Thank you so much for having me, Azra. This was so much fun.
It's nice to exchange experiences about living in Japan.
Definitely.
So where can people find you? What's your social media plugs?
So I have Instagram, TikTok. It's at The Real Cyber Bunny. I have a YouTube, and sometimes I post on Facebook. My Instagram and Facebook are linked together. So yeah, please be sure to check it out.
And that wraps up our chit-chat sesh with Cyber Bunny. Now you have a bit more of an insight into how life is and can be in Japan post-COVID. If you enjoyed this interview episode, let us know on our social media platforms. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We don't bite, promise. And if you're keen on picking up some more Japanese for yourself, pop onto our official website, nihongomaster.com, to learn more about our interactive online learning system. At Nihongo Master, we offer efficient Japanese lessons that are quick, easy, and fun for Japanese language learners of all levels, from beginners to advanced. Our smart tools will assist you in areas where you need a bit of a push and congratulate you on the ones you've aced. Get a subscription today and get a head start on your Nihongo journey with Nihongo Master. Thank you so much for listening in, and join me next time where I'll be looking at another interesting part of the Japanese culture. Mata ne!